What's up, y'all? Welcome back to another sermon meditation. I hope you are well. I've been excited to come back into this space and just share the sermon that I listened to. Really spoke to me, and the title of the sermon is When God Says Let Go. And for me, when I first read it, I thought this was going to be, a sermon centered around just letting go of whatever you need to let go of, right? But the way he flipped what he was saying with the word let go and how God may be looking at that further than even how we may perceive that was something that was very interesting. And this excerpt that I'm going to share, it really spoke to me, and I hope it speaks to you and edifies you. Just excited for us to be able to spend this time listening to a sermon. I would love for you to share your notes, if you took notes after you listened, on just what you heard and what spoke to you and what spoke to your spirit. So let's get into the sermon.
For the purpose for which he intends my life to be a small little piece. So I want to tell every beau in the room, let go. Let go. How can you say that? This is important to me. How can you tell me to let go? I have to make some plans, don't I? Yeah, you got to make them, but don't hold them too tight that you choke them. Is it possible? I'm asking the question, is it possible that your problem isn't that you don't hold on to what you think God told you, you hold it too tight? Wow. Because sometimes his timing is different than yours. I don't know who this is for, but the Lord really wants you to get this today because he's saying, let go. Let go. What would that journey have been like? To the mountain region named Moriah. This is the same region where Jesus would die thousands of years later, where God would give his son. Different mountain, same region. Abraham had no context for that. And so what do you do when your faith is being tested, but you have no precedence? No precedence. I wanted to call this message a promise with no precedence. In other words, I've never seen this before. I've never seen this before. I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to be a father of many nations. I don't know how to do this. And you got to lead your son too. Isaac is 15 by this time, by the way. He's a teenager. He's a teenager. We talked a little bit about teenagers and trust earlier. And now this teenager, now watch the journey. There's a conversation that happens because they go 3 days. Remember, Abraham was tested not in a moment, but in a process. The test of your faith will be continual. You'll be good one moment, the next. Why are y'all so fake today? I said you'll be tested one moment, and your faith will be really, really good, and then it'll tank the next. You are only one text message away from your trust in God tanking to an all-time level. And that's true. Need I go further? And they're talking about it. And the further they get, the more questions Isaac has, because this is not the dad trusting the teenager. This is the teenager trusting the dad. This thing is flipped. And so now Isaac is walking with Abraham, and he doesn't know either. I should do a parenting seminar on this. What do you do when you're leading somebody and you don't know either? I don't know. Abraham's like, let me tell you about me and God. He doesn't give me many details. Because when they start walking, and I'm not cheapening the text by lightening the tone, I'm trying to bring you into it so that you can understand that God doesn't call us all to sacrifice our sons. He sacrificed his son for all of us, but he does call us all to trust in him at times. Times where we can't understand, and they're walking 3 days, and then comes the point where they can't take the servants any further, because there will come a place where you get to a point with God where no one else can help you figure it out. I mean, to a point people can give you advice, to a point people will give you wisdom, but don't worship their wisdom because their wisdom is based on their experience. And God has to show you some things for your life. In Genesis 22:6 says that Abraham took the wood, get the picture, the wood for the burnt offering and placed it on his son Isaac. Do we not see Jesus all the way in Genesis 22? That he took the wood and put it on his son. And he himself carried the fire. and the knife. And as the two of them went on together, Isaac started to wonder a little bit, and he spoke up and he said to his father Abraham, "Father." "Yes, my son," Abraham replied. "The fire and the wood are here. I'm doing an inventory. We got everything we need except one thing. Where is the lamb for the burnt offering?" In other words, I need some details. And Abraham answered God. He only said one thing. One thing. One thing that he had found to be true over 1,500 miles of traveling. One thing that he had found to be true when he went to Egypt to survive for a little while. One thing that he knew to be true, even though he didn't know where this was leading. God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering. And in this moment, we wonder, was Abraham bluffing? Did he really know that that was going to happen? Because that is what happens. It's not a lamb, but it's a ram, because God isn't going to ever do it exactly like you think he is. But he says it like he knows that God himself will provide the lamb for the burnt offering, my son. And watch this. I get the picture here that Isaac has seen Abraham trust God before. He has seen his father trust God before. Why? Because the deeper the trust, the less the need for details. Isaac told him God will provide, and the two of them went on together. He said, God will provide, and Isaac said, let's go. And so Isaac is saying, let's go, while Abraham is letting him go. And the moment comes. Now, just lock in with me for a minute. When they reached the place God had told him about, not the place he knew in his mind, God showed him when he got there. Abraham built an altar, which was a place of sacrifice, which was a place of death, which was a place of worship. He built an altar there and arranged the wood on it. He bound his son Isaac and laid him on the altar on top of the wood. I know how hard this is for us to get our minds around. That's why I was hesitant to preach it. But the one that I was most hesitant to preach in this whole series is the one that healed me the most. Because what I saw in verse 10 changed my life. He reached out his hand, and he is reaching for the instrument, the knife, and he's wrapping his fingers around the knife, letting go of his son. And as he reached out his hand and took the knife to slay his son, but the angel of the Lord called out to him from heaven, Abraham, Abraham. He said it twice because he was holding the knife and he thought his son was about to die and he didn't know what to make sense of it. But in the moment that he's holding the knife over his son, here comes the angel at that moment saying, Abraham, Abraham, let go. God says, let go at the very moment that Abraham thinks it's over. And when God said what he said, Abraham, Abraham, here I am, he replied. Verse 12, do not lay a hand on the boy. Somebody shout, let go. Shout it again, let go. Let go. I know you came this far thinking this was how it's going to end. But the moment that the angel spoke, he said, don't lay a hand on the boy. Don't do anything to him. Now I know that you fear God, and now that you've let him go, let go. Now that I know that I can trust you with what I taught you, that I can trust you, that you don't love it more than you love me. Now that I can trust you, that you're embracing my promise, not your plan. Now that you have let go. Because, verse 12, you have not withheld your son. You have let go of your son. Now let go of the knife. And God is so strategic that at the moment that Abraham was letting go of the knife, which is what he thought he had to do, at the moment that God said, let go of the knife, verse 13 says he heard something other than the angel rustling in the background. Abraham looked up, and there in a thicket, he saw a ram caught by its horns. And he went over and took the ram and sacrificed it as a burnt offering instead of his son. Verse 14 says, so Abraham called that place, the place where he thought Isaac would die, that place, the place where he thought it was over, that place, the place he didn't even know he was going or what God would do, but he said he would provide, and he did provide, and he called that place, the Lord will provide. It wasn't called the place where Isaac died. It was called the place where Jehovah provided. And I declare, woo, glory to God. Let's rename this place. Now, this is for all of the people who are letting go of something that you thought would happen, letting go of the way you thought somebody was supposed to change, letting go of what you expected from yourself, letting go of what you thought God was like, letting go of what you thought this season would include. This is for everybody who's letting go. At the moment that Abraham was letting go of the knife, the thicket was grabbing hold of the ram. What am I trying to say? God's got you in this place. God's got you in this place. His name is Jehovah. He is Jehovah Jireh. The Lord will provide for me. The Lord will provide for my family. The Lord will provide for this church. Can't you see the angel at the same moment that one angel is telling Abraham to let go of the knife? Another angel is telling the thicket to grab a hold of the ram. Don't you see the timing of God, what you call coincidence? But Abraham didn't know that. Abraham didn't know that. He had to go not knowing. And so do you. But Hebrews chapter 11, verse 19, stay standing and hasten me to a close and rush me with pressure by standing up. If you stand up, I'll start rushing this sermon to a conclusion, and you can get the Qdoba and sit around and eat something that ain't gonna last you but 2 hours of energy instead of getting this word from God that can save you from a decade of disappointment and break off generations of depression off of your family, because my God is Jehovah Jireh. When God is testing your faith, not the devil, when God is testing your faith, even if the devil brings the trial, the Lord will administer the test. When God is testing your faith, he already taught you something. Hebrews chapter 11, verse 19, one more time. How did he make it up that mountain? How do I walk through this valley? How do I get through this season of uncertainty? How do I go not knowing? How do I show up not feeling it? How do I continue to embrace the promise while not holding it too tightly? The writer of Hebrews gives us a clue as to what to do when your faith is being tested and you know your God can be trusted. He said, Abraham reasoned that God could even raise the dead. Now, I thought about that thing, and I thought about that thing, and I thought about how he reasoned that God could even raise the dead. Even if it ends, God can bring a new beginning. He reasoned that God could raise the dead, and it made me ask the question, at this point in history, when Abraham reasoned that God would raise him from the dead, had there ever been a resurrection recorded in the scriptures? And the answer is no. There is no recorded resurrection in the scriptures by Genesis 22. I could understand if it said Peter reasoned that God could raise him from the dead because he saw that happen to his boss. So he had seen it before. But verse 19 does not say Abraham remembered that God could even raise the dead. For him to remember, he would have had to have a previous experience. He would have had to have a precedence for the promise. But it doesn't say he remembered because it wasn't anything he'd ever seen before. So I wondered to myself, what was the reason that he believed? It doesn't even say he believed. To believe could mean that you think it could happen, but you don't know it could happen. It doesn't say he remembered. He had never seen it before. It doesn't say he believed. It says he reasoned And that made me remember what Paul, who we preached about last week, said about Abraham, who we're preaching about this week. Watch God put the ram in the thicket. Watch God drop the knife and stage the ram. Watch God work all things together for good in your life. Watch God put the right person at the right place at the right time to do the right thing, to give you the right. Watch God. Watch God. He reasoned. And I wondered why the Bible used the word he reasoned until I remembered that Romans 4:19 says that Abraham, without weakening in his faith, faced the fact that his body was as good as dead. Since he was 100, it only stands to reason that his body isn't going to get the job done. So he says it's as good as dead. And guess what? Sarah's womb was also dead. So I realized that although he had never seen the dead raised, he had seen somebody born from a dead place. I realized that I might not have ever seen this before. I might not have seen it, but how many can testify? I see something like it. If you knew where he brought me from, if you knew what he brought me through, you'd understand the reason. High five 3 people, say, I got a reason. 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 I'm not foolish. It's faith, and my faith has substance. The reason I believe is because I've seen him do, watch this, something kind of like it. You ever seen the dead raised? No. But I saw a dead womb bring forth a baby. I saw something kind of like it. I never been through this challenge before, but I've been through something kind of like it. I never been in this place before, but I've been in something kind of like it. I never dealt with bad news quite like this before, but I've been through bad news that was kind of like it. I never fought a Goliath before, but I fought something kind of like it. I never crossed over a Red Sea before, but nothing but my staff, but I've been through something kind of like it. And I came to tell you today that if you're being tested in your faith, God is telling you to trust him in something he already taught you. If Isaac came from a dead place, Abraham said, God will raise him from a dead place. If he wants to, he can do what he wants to. I don't need the details, because the deeper the level of the trust, the less the need for details. I reckon God can raise him. I hear Abram hollering back to the servants, we'll be back in a little while, y'all, because I don't know what God's gonna do, but I've seen him do too much. I've seen him do too much. I've seen him do too much. Hey, when God tells you to release something, to let go, when God says let go, he's already got the ram in the bush. I want to show you one more thing. This blew my mind. Put a mind blow emoji in the chat by faith that this is going to blow your mind too. When it said that Abraham said to God, let's go even though I don't know. Let's go even though I don't know. Maybe that's where you are right now. Let's go even though I don't know. I'm gonna take the first step. Let's go even though I don't know. I'm gonna call a therapist. Let's go even though I don't know. I'm saying I'm sorry. Let's go even though I don't know. I'm going to church today. Let's go even though I don't know. I'm reading my Bible this morning. Let's go even though I don't know. When you say that, and then you hold on even though you don't see it. And then God says, I want you to bring this thing back to me. This is the process, man. For my life, I just have to keep walking through my life with my kids, my dreams, my goals, my ambitions, my hangups, my flaws, like Abraham's walking with Isaac, and just say, the Lord will provide, and keep giving it back to God. And so here's a good prayer. It's yours, Lord.
Yeah, that's great.
It's yours. You gave it to me by grace, so I'm going to finish it by faith. It's yours, Lord. When I told y'all to start the church with me and I didn't tell you what city, how did you trust so much when I told you so little? And I realized that although you had never seen this plan, you knew the person.
Yes.
You saw me do some stuff. You saw me start a choir in college. You saw me start a choir in Shelby. You saw me say what I was gonna do and then do it. I'm not comparing myself to God. I'm using it as an antithetical analogy. If they trusted me that much, seeing me do so little, how could we have seen God do so much and trust him so little? It came from a dead place. He reasoned. So when the thicket started rustling, Abraham looked up and saw a ram. But if you look at this in the ESV, which gives the exact word that is used when it says that there was a ram in the thicket, it gives you one meaning that I want to send you back to your house with today. Abraham lifted up his eyes and looked, and behold, behind him was a ram caught in the thicket by its horns. Behind him. What he needed was in a place he had already walked past. When your faith is being tested, there is something God has already taught you that he is calling you to trust him in and take hold of. He took hold of it in the thicket. When he walked by the thicket, perhaps the ram wasn't there yet, but look back. The moment that he let go, the bush took hold and the ram was there. And he called that place, the Lord will provide. Everyone standing, heads bowed, eyes closed, no one moving. This place can be called the Lord will provide too. Please stand if you're physically able. It's our sign of respect to God that he is speaking and that this is holy ground. Turn your palms up to the Lord like you're lifting your hands to receive from him. There's a ram in the thicket. There is honey in the rock. There is water in your wilderness. The Lord will provide. There's something God has already taught you, something you've already walked past, something you've already learned, and letting go in this season will not be easy. But oh, it will be so relieving to you. Ball up your fist real tight like you're squeezing something. Come on, real tight like you're squeezing something, like you think it depends on you, like you gotta make it happen, like you gotta figure everything out. Now, when I say 3, I want you to do what my sermon says. When God says 1, 2, 3, let go. Let go. And hold what God told you, but hold it with open hands.
Woo! Now that was a sermon. And I just hearing it again, man, I feel like one thing I'm loving about doing this is like hearing the sermons again, just with a different day, and just hearing it, it's so powerful. And there's so many things he talked about. And when I was talking earlier about the letting go, it's like sometimes people are just focused on that letting go, but I love that he was talking about the knife. What are we holding on so tightly? And the power of understanding that like God is the point where when we hear from him, and if he tells us to let go, that we trust and we let go. And also knowing that there's a ram in the thicket already being prepared for you to give to God, and he will save everything that you thought was dead. It was just a great example of understanding that in this season, even for me in my life, it's like what are some things that I know that I need to let go, that I know I'm holding too tightly on, and the angel is telling me, Bumi, Ishmael, let go of these things. And move in this different direction because now God is testing. And the one thing I love is like understanding that God will test our faith. Never omitting that in our process. It's so hard when life is happening that like to reconcile with that because the thing is happening, but the truth is the truth. Meaning that God will test our faith and the enemy's job is to distract us in the test. But he just wants to know that he can trust that we understand what he's taught us. And that is the beauty that I really got from the sermon. And another thing is, he said, by grace, Lord, you gave it to me. And by faith, I'll finish it. God's grace doesn't run out. So for me, that makes me understand if his grace doesn't run out, meaning the things that he has planned for my life, I don't need to think there's stagnancy in anything he wants for me, because he will continue to give us grace. But it is as a manager of my faith to know that like I want to see those things that he sets in front of me to completion, not even completion, knowing I'm in the process of it, knowing I'm aligned with his will, what he's doing, and knowing that I am using my faith to align with the grace that he's given me freely, meaning I'm doing the work for him. And I think why that hit me a lot is like we always understand that like God's grace is, we don't deserve his grace. We can't earn his grace. But to know that like he will continue to give it, and all he's asking is for our faith in him, our faith in all things through him. And that's the challenge of this life. But I know, and I know if you're listening to this right now, if you've been tuning in, I know you know how important that is and how much fulfillment that can really bring into life and has brought in your life. And just trusting that no matter, even if we don't have something as a precedent for something, as when he was talking about Abraham the reasoning of it all, knowing the reason is like when we make a thought about something, putting that reasoning based on God, like, okay, I've never seen it, but God can do that because I trust him that much. He reasoned that God could raise his son from the dead. So he was going to trust what God told him to do because he had found a truth within the reason of God that he can do anything. So it's like making sure that we also know that like God will watch over us. He is watching over us. But in this life, we will be tested. And I feel like as I continue, I'm really glad to have heard this sermon. It's a reminder, but also like an active challenge to the faith of knowing that like we have to get deeper in our faith because life will get more. It's a lot. It's a lot. I feel like he said there was one thing I wrote down from earlier in the conversation. He said it a couple of times, but like he was like, write this down in the beginning of the sermon. We listened to towards more of the ending, but he was like, when your faith is being tested, there is something God has already taught you that he's calling you to. And I think that's such an important discernment and understanding to keep in our minds, to know that like he's given us the way, he's given it to us. Maybe we didn't pay attention, maybe we didn't listen, but it's there. And he's just seeing that if that thing he trusted you with, can you bring it to a forefront right now to help you? Because he's gonna help you regardless, but it's that strength of knowing that God, you taught me this. I learned that I can do this because I've seen something like this situation before, so I know you can help me in this situation. You're not going to leave me. And understanding, and to access that is to access what he's taught us along the way, carrying what he's taught us along the way to affirm us in our faith as we continue in the way. It was a great sermon by Stephen Furtick. I didn't say that in the beginning. The pastor's name is Stephen Furtick. You see it in the description. But as I said in the beginning of the conversation, I hope you are well. I hope your family is well. I hope this month is going well for you. As we continue this month, I pray that God continues to be with us, watch over us, give us the understanding of leading with our faith in all things that we do and trusting him, and having the faith to let go of things that we hear him telling us to let go of, to allow space for him in all the things that we're doing. I pray that you see unseen favor as you continue with this journey, that if you feel uncertain, that God comes into that quiet place in your mind and gives you the assurance that you need. I pray that you continue to be blessed And as I say, in Jesus' mighty name, and as I say before I end every episode, we will talk soon.